Right. Hello. Good morning. Um, let's see here. So it's becoming clearer and clearer to me that I got so much stuff here. Um, like that impact. Impact is really about this nested stores concept. Um, and I think we're gonna change the website. So we really focus on this organization of observable primitives, um, and then the observable primitives of impact react, those are observable primitives designed based on the paradigms and conventions of react itself, but you should be able to choose what observable primitives you really want. Like if you prefer MobX, like even promises, you get a lot of benefit from just using plain promises in React 19 with the use hook. But you won't be able to observe like the promises themselves using MobX. But you can use like suspend the promises. Mm, so yeah, I think we're gonna do that. But anyways, so exploring these primitives, one of the primitives I was exploring was a query and mutation. And one thing that struck me as I was honestly taking a dump was the mutation. Like the mutation has this concept of like they call it variables. Let's see. Do we have mutation side effects? Blah blah blah. Unsettled, consecutive. Promises. Retry, persist mutations. Mutation scopes. Where the hell is it? Like the mutation variable, like optimistic updates. Here we are. So you have this mutation function, and then what I don't understand exactly. That's what I was wondering. So when you do a mutation, you want that mutation to keep running with the invalidation of the query. So that if you do a mutation, and the mutation is a request in of itself, and then you have this optimistic data that you want to display, but you also have to invalidate the query to actually update the like the posts or whatever from the server, and the mutation shouldn't really resolve until that's done. So we're gonna make an update here because I didn't consider this. Let's see, git pull. So this is not documented yet, as we're kind of exploring it. But let's see, we want it would be here in the query. We need to actually return. We need to return the fetch data promise. So that let's see. Yeah, I'm just thinking about these scenarios of okay, let's think about this refetching. That's fine. We'll return the promise. It's fine. And then we're updating the promise here as it's being resolved, which is fine. So what would actually happen here? We would do a mutation. It will call invalidate. The thing I'm wondering is guaranteeing that this set promise would happen. This is very interesting. So setting this new promise, so we're gonna remove the optimistic data. It won't happen on the same tick. That's the thing. It won't happen on the same tick, because even calling this doesn't happen within this tick. It will happen after on like its own tick inside here. When this is resolved, like the then of this promise, that's when it triggers the observation. So it's kind of like happening. So we're kind of queuing the ticks together, but it won't happen on the actual same tick. I wonder if that's a problem. I don't think it's a problem because we have the snapshot. So we have this snapshot version. So what will happen is that it will kind of trigger observation here. It will call React to update, but React itself will wait a tick, which is so it means it's queued behind the mutation. And it will see that the snapshot changed because the mutation is also observed within the same component with the list. And then it will kind of run the snapshot again, or it will sync again, kind of, because the snapshot will have updated. So I think it's fine. I actually think it's fine. We only need to return fetch data so that when we kind of, let's see how we would actually write this. So we would have this data store. We will have data equals query fetch data, and then we would have what did I call it? Mutation. Returning. I think we're just gonna call this data. So it's promised data. Well, yeah, it's really hard to. Well, what are we gonna call these? So what is this thing? You could say that's the data promise and the data state. That makes sense. But this is really the mutation promise and the mutation. I think we can just call it data. Let's do that. Set data. I'm gonna call it data. And then you will probably call this like data mutation, mutate data. Like let's call it fetch. Let's see. Posts, invalidate posts, right? And you would say add post. Sorry, adding post, add post, mutation. And this will be like add post. Let's see, let's take an ID there, or let's do like sorry, let's just do text. do something like this, and you will do add post text. Now the point is, you want to return add post there, and then get a string, and then we're going to say add post text, and this, and then you have like adding post. I think you just want to do this. And we have posts here. And then what you want to do is you want to invalidate the posts. Yeah, so maybe you would even do it here. Right? You would add post and then invalidate posts. Because then this mutation wouldn't resolve until it's been... Yeah, you want to do it as part of this thing. So when you successfully add a post, we'll invalidate the posts. And invalidating does not return anything. And that's typically what you want on mutations. Or on, like, this is a pattern, right? This is how React thinks about data fetching. It's this invalidation pattern. And that's why we have these primitives in Impact React, because as I said, we want to embrace popular patterns in React. So that's what we're doing here. So I think this is how you would do it. Yeah. So what's different with Impact React from React Query is that you do it more programmatically. It's not as declarative. Unsettled? Why does it have unsettled? Don't you want to do this? Yeah, maybe you want to do this. We have finally, don't we? Finally invalidate posts. So I guess it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to invalidate posts only on success or just regardless? Doesn't matter. But this is how I imagine you would use it. So now we have a mutation of adding a post, and now in the component we can look at the promise, which might be undefined. But we can look at it if it's pending. Then we have like a pending state. We can look at state, and this is the thing I haven't, sorry, not the state, but we can look to see if we have data, which means that there's optimistic data that we can show in the UI. I'm not sure about the name of this data. Like, I don't think this properly encapsulates the relationship between running the mutation. Like, it's kind of annoying because unlike the query where you have query state, that's more about the state of the actual query. It doesn't have anything to do with, well, it kind of has. Fetching and refetching are related to the state of the promise, but you always have a promise here. But here you don't. Like, either it's undefined, but maybe that's how it should be. Like, adding... Maybe we should rather make this like this can be undefined, or it might have a promise and the data. It's not this promise that is undefined. Like both of these are maybe undefined, but that's the thing. If one of them are undefined, both of them are undefined. That's the point. Yeah, that's the thing. That doesn't make sense here. So this shouldn't be two signals. It should just be one signal. Maybe that should be the thing here as well. It should just be one. Should really just be one signal, which has a promise, an observable promise, and it has the state. Yeah, you know, we're gonna try that, but that means that this signal is really okay. So data here would be a signal of promise, which would be observable promise T, and state, which would be query state, like so. And then it would start out as and this is the tricky thing. Promise, create, observe. Yeah. Because now we kind of have where are these things? So signal, create. Yeah, I don't think this should be, we need to move this away. Interesting. Let's see. So we are indeed, because we have the board controller here. Yeah, so we're gonna pass it on the board controller. Okay, interesting, interesting. Okay, so we're gonna move this up, and this is gonna improve it. Create, promise, a board controller, and then we're gonna do this and this. And then we're gonna say T. Oh. Oh, but is this really... Okay, no, we're gonna change this. Sorry, we're gonna keep that as is. And then we're gonna say create pending promise, fetch data. I'm not sure why I can't access that. Oh, am I not exporting them? Okay, create pending, create for fulfilled, and create rejected. And we're basically gonna do something similar. So let's see, create pending promise. We're gonna say if it's, by the way, how do I do this? So create observable promise. Yeah, sorry, so I do it on the actual promise. So then we're gonna say, do we really... I wonder if I can make those more generic. We could pass in the abort controller. That makes a lot of sense. But we have this value thing here. We could pass in callbacks for unfulfilled promise. And yeah, I think we're gonna do that. Okay, let's try again. We're gonna move this up. And then we're rather gonna pass in the abort controller. And we're gonna pass in unfulfilled. That's gonna be the T. That's gonna be the actual fulfilled promise. On rejected promise. Does that also take a T? Okay. Cool. I'm not sure why this is. Oh, why is this giving errors? Oh, sorry. void. And then we're gonna do on. Sorry. This is not really creating an observable promise, I think, because we don't wanna. Oh, yeah, we do. Sorry. I just wonder if could we just do this? Thinking. Like, we do not care. Unsettled. So this can be either a fulfilled promise or a rejected promise. We don't care which one it is. So what we would do here, we would just say I'm just wondering, why are we putting this as the value, but then we return. Because this isn't actually, well, think. It's just a terminology thing here. So when we create a pending promise, it's the same promise. It's the promise of all of this. So we don't really need to put that in here. I'm not sure if that makes sense, like from an implementation standpoint. Maybe they should just be create pending promise, and then we do a then on this thing where we catch it, but at the same time, we want this promise to just be to resolve itself normal in a normal way, and then we want to use these create fulfilled promise, create rejected promise. That's yeah, no, I think that makes sense. So we're gonna do unsettled. So unsettled, we're just gonna do this. Well, now we still need. Let's see. Oh my god, this got a lot more difficult than I thought. So we want to it's kind of annoying that these two are so why does this say observable promise? Oh, wait a minute. I copied this all wrong. Okay, let's do it again. And we're gonna copy it instead of moving it so that we have the full thing here. Okay, this is responsible for that's the whole thing. Sorry. Let's copy it. And then we have signal, and then we have create observable promise. We're gonna pass in the abort controller, and we're gonna have an unsettled of promise, fulfilled promise of t, or rejected promise of t. Does not return anything, and then we have t there. And then we can remove this, and then we can say unsettled. And we don't need to notify because we're gonna do that a different part, and then the same here, unsettled, like so, and then we catch it here, blah blah blah. Okay, this is the observable promise. So instead of I think we can still have like an internal here. What should we call this? Create signal promise, maybe. Create signal promise, and then we do the same here. Cool. So in create signal promise, we are gonna create this abort controller thing, but then we're gonna return create observable promise. We're gonna pass in the promise, the abort controller, oops. And we're gonna have a callback, settle promise, and then we're gonna check if settle promise status equals fulfilled. We're gonna do one thing. Well, no, we aren't. We're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna say value equals settled, or let's call it observable promise. Or settled observable promise. And we're gonna update that value, and then we're gonna do a signal notify. it doesn't matter if it's rejected or fulfilled. We're just gonna do that. Yeah, I remember I had a few iterations on like how are we gonna deal with what's being resolved, like the then, the catch. Do we create a new promise for the fulfilled and rejected state, or do we use... I do wonder though, like we are creating a new resolved promise, but I wonder if you can actually use this here. Like, what is this? Yeah, it's any. But I wonder if that actually references the new promise. So it could probably say this, but it doesn't matter. That's fine. Okay, so what we can do now is that we can go and just create observable. Oh, didn't I export it? Create observable promise. So we should be able now, and we can create a function here for this. Function create query promise. Oh, well, I guess we don't need to do that. No. So, sorry. So what we can do instead is just new abort controller and then create observable promise. We're gonna fetch the data. We're gonna give it a abort controller. And when it's done resolving, settled observable promise, what we're gonna do is actually just update, sorry, so this would be data, set data. We're gonna set data, and we're gonna say current promise would be settled observable promise. And then the state here would be status fetching. Okay. So now we're gonna say data here, and we're gonna remove these two. So set data, and again we're gonna do the current thing, state refetching. And then again we're gonna do so we're gonna do the same thing as we did here, only that we're gonna current promise, create result, create fulfilled promise. Like so. And then we're gonna do the same, except create rejected promise by saying promise reject error. Okay, so what we've done now is that we created oh sorry, there we go. So what we've done now is that we created a single signal for handling the state of the query and the actual promise of the query. And that makes sense. Now we're going to do the same for the mutation. we're gonna have a single single thing here. Let's see, const, and this is kind of gonna, this is the mutation. So it's a little bit weird to, and I also wonder about here. Yeah, let's move this back to, let's do idle fetching, refetching. Let's see, let's do this. And this is fetching. And then, yeah, refetching. And this will be idle. I'm not sure we need any related data. We might, if we're gonna support like stale time, maybe we want to know some more details, but we'll see how we solve that. And then mutation would now be, so yeah, it is the mutation. So the signal would have promise, which would be an observable promise of void, or the whole thing can actually be undefined. So it starts out as undefined, and then it will create a promise, but that promise will never return anything. Because the way you don't take the data returned from the mutation request and then do anything with it, you invalidate queries, right? So data here would be you. Cool. Yeah, I like this. Now, what to actually call this? Like this is the mutation. I wonder if we can just do this. And then we'll put mutation here. And then what we need to do is that when we actually do start a mutation, we're gonna, let's see what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a board controller thingy. We're gonna set mutation. And we're gonna say promise is create observable promise. We're gonna have data there. And the observable promise we are creating is by calling mutator.data. Pass it a board controller. And we have this unsettled thing. The callback. Settled observable promise. And then we're basically gonna set the mutation again. What's also interesting here is that now that if it's aborted, this is never called. I guess that was the case before as well. But yeah, anyways. So we're gonna set the mutation again, but now we use the current value. And we say promise is settled observable promise. We don't need to do, yeah, and this is interesting. So we want to when do we want to reset the mutation? So let's say it's like a successful mutation. I think we want to do that when it's an actual success. So what I would suggest we do here is that if settled observable promise status equals fulfilled, we're actually gonna set mutation to undefined, because then everything's good in the world. And if not, we're gonna update it with the rejected promise. But I'm not sure why this is so angry with me. Oh. And also, oh, sorry, current abort controller. Do we even need to control this now? Yeah, we do. Yeah, of course we do. What was I gonna say? So when we do mutate, we want to return the actual promise. Have I said what this return result should be? Why does it why is it so angry at me? Oh, yeah, this is a thing. Because I'm saying that this can be undefined or not. So when I said it, it can't be undefined. Yeah, I wonder if that's actually a typing issue. Let's see if we can fix that. So function signal. So we have this. Yeah, because here I'm saying that the value. You know what? I think this should actually be u extends t. And then we do u. Oops, sorry. So, sorry, this can still be t. Wait a minute. So value u. Yeah, sorry. No, this should be u. No, wait, sorry. This should be t. So either you set u, and then this is the return result. Current. So this can be t. T extends promise. And this is u. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's see how this looks. Because now this should be fine. Sorry, mutation. Yeah, exactly. Hey, we fixed a bug. Because it should understand that when this is the actual thing we pass in, then that's the thing we will return as well. It just needs to adhere to the actual. So if I do this, I still get wrong, right? Just need to extend the value of the signal. But when we actually set a value, then that will also return that value. Okay, so when you call mutate, this is something you don't do that in the actual component, right? This is something you do in the store, and that should return promise so that in the store you can actually evaluate what you want to do related to the resolvement of that promise. But the data and the promise here, this is for the components. Okay, I think this makes a lot of sense. So if we mutate and it's a success, we'll just set the mutation to undefined. Everything's good. Any optimistic is removed from the UI. We have already updated the invalidated the thing. Okay, I think this is how it should work. Maybe we can test it. Let's see. By the way, I have an appointment with a colleague. Not yet. Let's see. So let's see here. Oops. Where was that? There was an error. Was there an error? Maybe not. Okay. So let's create some async stuff. I'm just gonna fake it where we have App Store. Okay, we don't need to have this complexity. Let's just do a simple thing. So we can still have groceries, but it's a string. Add grocery. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and we're not even going to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create these like fake things. We're going to say get groceries. So we're going to have this groceries array here, and then we're going to say get groceries is like a new promise, and we're going to give it like a second or something to resolve. Maybe 2 seconds. Set timeout. Resolve. Resolve groceries. And this is also going to be a string array. I'm not sure why it complains. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to have const put or post grocery, which would be a grocery in a string, and then we're just gonna add it to the post grocery, and then we're not gonna do anything more. We are gonna make it like we can still do like a new promise void. I guess that's the default. We can do a set timeout here as well of like 2 seconds. But it doesn't really like do much. It just adds to this groceries array, and then we can invalidate the query, and then we should get this thing back. Okay, so now we're gonna have groceries, but we're also gonna have invalidate groceries. So that's going to be a query. We don't need this. We can just say get groceries. Get groceries. I think that's how you type it. Okay, so now we have, and when we want to add a grocery now, we want to run this mutation. Let's call it yeah, let's see, how do we want to do this? We want to do the mutation in the nested component here. So yeah, sorry. So we just want to post grocery. And grocery should be post grocery. Okay, and let's call this messages just to keep. So we're using like this back channel thing where Oh, but this is interesting because now we have the query up in the App Store. So we also need to do the mutation in the App Store. But yeah, but that does make sense. Sorry. So let's keep this. So we say add grocery, but we need that to return. Oh. I don't think it needs to return anything. Let's just try. Grocery. So we have add grocery, or adding grocery, sorry. Add grocery, mutation. And this mutation is post grocery string. Cool. And when that's happy, we're gonna invalidate groceries. So let's have groceries, adding grocery. So we can look at anywhere in the app, we can see if we're adding a grocery. And you could argue that should be part of the grocery store. Yeah, this is interesting. Like if you are caching groceries, in this case, high up in your application, but you do the mutation locally, then oh, sorry. Of course, we just want to. Well, of course, it depends what you want to do. So there are two strategies here. We can put the groceries and adding any mutations. We can add that next to each other at a high level in the application. Or, and it could be like a data store or something. Or we can, and I think that makes a lot of sense. You can organize that however you want. Like I'm putting it on the App Store here, but I could have like data, groceries, adding grocery. I could even have like groceries with an object of adding. Like you could organize this however you want. But the question is, but I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that's a good convention, that you put your mutations with your queries. Because the alternative would be you would put the mutation locally. And then you would rather expose invalidate groceries. You could do that. But then actually posting the grocery, like doing the mutation, that will probably require like some API. Maybe this shouldn't be RPC. Maybe this should be exports and imports. So that would make it so if you have an API, you can just, you have a global store, you have an API that you don't want to expose the components. So you can say exports and then API, because now it's more like it's very tied to methods, right? And I don't think that makes sense. That is tied to methods. You can export anything. You just want to share something from this store to the nested stores. Well, RPC is very much column method. And that makes sense, right? Because you typically do that cross boundaries where you can't share something like an API. You can just kind of pass arguments. Yeah, we need to change that. The question is, should it be called exports and imports? I don't think it makes. Yeah, it's interesting. You also have, you can think of it as like it only depend, like the technical implementation doesn't change. It's just how to think about it, and RPC isn't the right way to think about it. You could think of it as injection as well. So you can, yeah, you can say provides and or provide. But that is, it conflicts with well, maybe it doesn't. But what's the other end of provide? Consume? Or inject? Yeah. Okay. So, because this is really what we want to do. We want to be able to expose something from a store that's only accessible by other stores. That's what we want to do. And there are many different ways to do that. What other mechanisms do we have that does this? Does this like private? I don't think we should use inject, because inject is different. Like you have a reference to something. While here it's like, oh, but this is wait. God damn it. Because how would you consume this? Like if it's methods, it's fine because you just, I'm using a proxy to do that. Well, I can still use a proxy, of course. Like it's just a get. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just a getter. It doesn't matter. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So we could call it provide, and then on the other side, we could say inject, and then you could say API. Now, yeah. um, yeah, it's just a terminology thing. Do we call it provide and inject, exports, imports? Like all of them are in conflict. Like exports, imports is in conflict with the language. Provide, well, I think provide and inject is the most correct term, but still, it's not like you're not injecting. Ugh. You're not like, it's not dependency injection in the sense that you instantiate something. But you are injecting it from, you really are injecting it from the other store. I think we're gonna try that. At least it's we need to get away from the RPC thing because that doesn't make any sense. So we're gonna change that as well. That would actually be in the Impact React store. So we have receiver. This will be provide, and then we don't have to even call. Yeah, there's no type anymore. There's no specific thing. It's just a record of string any. What are we providing? What should we call it? We should not call it last result. Last. Fuck. Last resolved events. Last resolved. Like we could call it context internally. Like it is literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing as using a React context. God damn it. And it's almost like we can call it context. That's fine. Last result context. Provide context. Provide context. And then we have the same here. Record string any. And this would be inject. Oh, that's not needed anymore. And here we have a proxy, and this is what's resolving. There's no providers for the injection. This is not event. This will be inject key. And this also needs to be store. Oh, maybe we should call it injection context. Yeah, injection context. Last result. Injection context. And then this is called injection context. Yeah, I like that. Then injection key. Nice. Okay, this makes more sense. There are no priors for the injection con. Yes. And do we? Yeah, and in this case, oh, sorry. So here we have a getter, so we shouldn't really do this. We should just return the thing. So there's no calling here. Okay, cool. Okay. Oh my god. Let's build that, see if it builds. I'm a little bit like, I don't know. We'll see where this ends. Like, we're just experimenting. Blah, blah, blah. App Store. Yeah, and the question is like, what do you call this thing? Like injection context? Like, it's very... I wish there was a simpler way to think about this. It's very verbose. Like, the great thing is that since they are decoupled, you can like lazy load a component and you'll lazy load the stores. And even though that store like depends on something from another store, it doesn't require you to import the actual store. It's almost like I just have this feeling that there's a way to like I thought about having two different hooks. So when you create a store, you would kind of have use like ideally when you use App Store in a component, you use the public API. When you use App Store in another store, you have both the public and the private API. But that doesn't work for typing, right? TypeScript doesn't know if you're using this function inside the store or a component. So that just wouldn't work. You would need to have two different functions. And that makes sense. Like you would do use App Store, and then maybe you would just call App Store. Or like inject App Store or something. In other stores. And then you could indeed have, instead of returning just an object, you could return like two different things. But it just gets hairy. It gets more complicated than it needs to be. App Store context. Yeah. then provide. Oh, they have to restart. Oh, sorry. Impact React should be using what's it called? Provide inject. Yeah, okay, let's just continue. We were actually testing something completely different. App Store context. So now we're injecting add grocery. Oops. Yeah, we can even just do this. There's a string. Okay, we can certainly ignore all of that. So in the App Store now, we have this query where we grab groceries and we can invalidate those groceries and it will refetch them. When we, and then we want to be able to add a grocery. And we have a mutation where we add the grocery and what was I gonna say? And then we post to the server, and then when that's a success, we invalidate the groceries, which refetches them, and then all should be good. So here we can also do add grocery if we want to do that. And all of this wiring, like this is all of this stuff, it doesn't need to be this complicated. You could just do like this, add grocery, and you could drop this injection stuff. So this provide inject is only if you are truly concerned about exposing things from the stores that shouldn't be used in components. So for me, in the family Scrum app, I don't want the components to have access to Firebase, but I want other components to have access to that. Other stores to have access to Firebase. And like I'm a sole developer, blah, 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 but I'm thinking about that project as being like 20 or at least 10 engineers working on that project. But one thing I worry about is discoverability with this. It's like the general problem with hooks. How do you discover that, oh, this app store is actually providing this context that you can inject? Is there another terminology we can use for this? Because we already think about context. But it is exactly the same thing. It's like this thing we're doing here, or did here, this is exactly what React does. It puts that value on that context, and if you use that context, so instead of inject, we could have called it context. But there you actually, with the React use context, you give it the actual like context function or the context object. While here we're just using a type, and then it's key based. But maybe that's the problem, is that we should rather this is very interesting though. Damn it. Yeah, it seems a bit too magical. Oh, I have to think about this. Like it just evaluates based on key and all of this stuff. So what you could do instead, like you could do what React does. You could have app store, but that would be very confusing, right? I could do create store context. And then you would actually well, you could probably no, I have to think about this. But let's god damn it. I want to just try the thing we worked on. So let's just put the grocery here, and then we're gonna not do the inject, we're just gonna add grocery equals use app store. So no biggies there. Yeah, and then did I have groceries? Oh yeah, sorry. Oh, so if app store dot groceries, do I have suspense here? No, but let's do that. So let's do groceries equals use it from here. App store dot groceries. And then we pass it the groceries. Let's do a suspense there. Page for loading groceries. Sorry, so this would just be a grocery. Cool. So we're loading up the groceries using suspense. And here I could also, if I wanted to, I could also look at the state to see if we're refetching. Maybe we can even show that. Can we put that somewhere? Let's do App Store. Use App Store. I guess we could do. Let's just shove it in here. So age 5, groceries state. Oh, sorry. App Store dot groceries dot state. Cool. So how does it work now? We yeah, so it should work now. Oh, do we have an error? Can't resolve impact react. Is that still the case? Okay, let's try again. Why does it say it can't import impact react? Oh. Mutation. Oh, what did I do here? That's a big one. Why is this one? Well, I guess we can do this instead. No, we can't do that. Why are you complaining? QB. Ah, fuck. Didn't it work, the typing? Maybe I did something wrong here. So, current has to be T. Why doesn't that work? Call signature return types promise data. Are incompatible. U or undefined. Oh. U or undefined is not assignable to type U. Arbitrary type which could be unrelated to U or undefined. What the fuck does that mean? So I'm saying current is T. I think it's not about this U, it's about the internal U. Ah, god damn it. We have a typing issue. Observable promise data U or undefined. Reject. Why is data like this? This doesn't make sense. I didn't say that data could be potentially undefined. I said the whole signal can be undefined, not that this one can be undefined. Why does it think that can be undefined? It doesn't. Why does it say that? Ah, goddamn TypeScript. Why are you saying this is wrong? Is it because this you I don't understand this. Dag nugget. Why the hell? But this is internal, right? Let's just ignore it. But I wonder if this is an actual issue in the types of data are incompatible. Why are they incompatible? It's this undefined thing that's messing it up. Why is it? And even if I do like this, oh, that's fine. It's because we do. Okay, interesting. So current. Oh, is it because current can be? Oh, I think I know what it is. It's because current can be undefined, and then TypeScript has a hard time. Oh, of course. And then we're lacking data. Interesting. Um, okay, but that does actually make sense. But it's not like we should probably do this because this is only called if we're still on the same promise, which is tied to the data. So we can do that. Interesting. So what could happen is that we would return only the promise, right? Because the current was undefined, so we would only return the promise, which would be wrong. So yeah, it was actually correct. Where the hell did we go? What were we actually fixing? Oh, we were trying to run the thing. Oh, now it's running. Okay, so oh, interesting. So now groceries, loading groceries. But now it says fetching. That's wrong. Let's see. Why doesn't it move to idle? Oh, sorry. I'm not observing. I think. No, we are observing. Why doesn't it change? That's weird. That is weird. Did it actually change? Loading groceries. No, it didn't even run. It shouldn't finally. When the promise is settled, fulfill. What? Why is this never called? Why is finally never called? I'm confused. Why is finally never called? Oh, sorry. Sorry. My bad. We don't actually do it. This shouldn't be current. This should be, sorry. This shouldn't be current. This should be idle. Oops, sorry. My bad. There we go. Okay, cool. So what we want to do now is that now I'm adding it, but it's not there. But then after a couple of seconds, we invalidate and it should be there, but it isn't there. So what the fuck happened? Let's see. So we have add grocery, which is coming from the App Store. So this should do post grocery. Does this even happen? Let's do a what the fuck. They are always nice. Oh, it was actually there. Did you see? Oh, I have such long. Hey. Yeah. So it's actually pushing it. And I think it's actually in there as well. Like we saw that. So we are invalidating. So it's probably there. For some reason, when we invalidated, I don't think I have the correct handling of that. Where are you, query? So when we do invalidate, we abort whatever we're doing. We're saying refetching. Does it even say refetching? No. It doesn't say refetching. That's weird. But it's there, you see? When it but something's not doing what it's supposed to here. It's almost like invalidate is not being called. Let's see if it's being called. Invalidate. Do, 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 do. That's interesting. Wait a minute, now I think it's... That's also interesting. Why doesn't it... Okay, so it's not invalidating for some reason. Post grocery. New promise. Set timeout. Groceries push. Oh, we're never resolving it. My bad. My bad. I wonder what's happening here. Why? It doesn't even reset. Like, this is just React. Why doesn't React? It's almost like the event key isn't correct. Or it doesn't pick up the event key. You see that? There it did it. And then it invalidated, but there wasn't anything in there. But that's interesting. Like that seems like counter 76. Why doesn't it react on key down? Oh, and then meta? Wow, this must be a weird ass React issue. Now it's enter. Is refetching? What the fuck is going on? Anyways, so let's see what's happening here. We have add grocery, and it doesn't seem like we are actually passing the let's see. So when we mutate, we have data. Yeah, we are passing data into the mutator. So why isn't it post grocery? What? Grocery. Let's put this to 1 second. We don't need. Wow, this was a messy implementation. Wait a minute. There was definitely something very weird going on here. So if I wait for it, then everything works. But if I just go in and I do it quickly, then it's like completely messed up. You see that? Like, and then there's a delayed key down and it says meta. Oh, wait a minute. That's me just, yeah, tabbing away, I guess. Yeah, sorry. That's me tabbing away. But why doesn't, and this has nothing to do with, this is just React. You see that? It doesn't take in the, it doesn't even handle the on change. Is this Next.js stuff? Some hydration craziness? Next.js on change handler not running. That's super weird. I have no idea what's going on there. But it can't have anything to do with impact. Okay, the point now is we're loading up this stuff, but there's nothing showing, right, immediately. So the idea here now is we're going to have an additional thingy here. Did I? Yeah, I pushed it, so I guess it needs to be down here. So we're going to do something crazy. So this is groceries. We are going to close App Store. Use App Store. So we're going to take a look at App Store. Yeah, maybe we can structure that. Adding grocery. So adding grocery, if that's the case, and we have data, we can do li with that data. So now it should show what happened now. Oh, sorry. So now we're looking at adding a grocery, and if there's any data adding a grocery, it's gonna show. And then we can do things like disabled. Maybe we can say, I don't know. I'm not sure if we're actually gonna see it as disabled. Or let's do opacity. Opacity, adding grocery. Adding grocery? Yeah, sorry. Promise. Well, I guess we could just check if we're, well, no, we should check pending. We're gonna say 0.5 or 1. So if the status of adding a grocery is 0.5, or sorry, it's pending, we're gonna put 0.5. Let's see what happens now. Well, it did. Oh, we had the same issue in. See that? Oh, interesting. So what happened there? Why was the data so... so late? That's annoying. So which, you know what? We're gonna look at which one of them is optimistic. Oh, why do we have that? Let's remove that. Sorry, just again. Let's see. Hey, optimistic hey. Okay, so it's the optimistic hey that's yeah. So this is interesting. Like, this is of course much simpler if it's all tied together, but we're just like using these signals and syncing them to do this kind of thing. So what was weird to me is that while it was refetching, oh, I know what it is. Sorry, this is just testing issue. We have to make sure that we slice this thing. We can't send the actual array because we mutate it, and if something else changes in terms of observation, you have a reference to that array. So this is more like, hey, look at that. Awesome. I really like this way of dealing with optimisticness. It's really brilliant. I'm not sure who came up with it, but if it was Mr. Tanner, React Query guy, then kudos to him. It's really, really great because you completely remove this overhead of changing your data until it's actually ready. But this is cool, right? Optimistic, refetching. Nice. And I guess we can remove this. Nice. I'm happy about this. The only thing I'm not happy about is this back channel. If we should call it provide or provide inject. I'm gonna think about that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop the stream. And then I'm gonna think about that provide inject thing. And then we're gonna solve that. And then we're gonna publish a new version and we're gonna continue on the app. That's my plan. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.